Muy buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches a toda esa gente que siempre está conectada con Ike Volleyball TV. Hoy, ya usted lo vio, ya usted vio ahí en el título que vamos a tener una entrevista trascendental, una de las entrevistas más importantes que va a haber aquí. Obviamente, nosotros tuvimos una entrevista hace algunas semanas con Luciano de Checo y hoy tenemos una entrevista con uno de los grandes, no solamente uno de los grandes jugadores del deporte de voleibol, sino también uno de los grandes ganadores. Así que esto es un episodio que usted definitivamente no se puede perder. Tiene que ver de inicio hasta el final, porque es una conversación que realmente hace falta y estamos hablando con uno de los grandes del deporte, no solamente de los grandes del deporte del voleibol, sino uno de los atletas más reconocidos en el mundo y el voleibolista con más seguidores en Instagram. Así que vamos a recibir con un fuerte aplauso a Bruno Rezende. Welcome, Bruno.
Hola, buenas tardes, but I have to speak English because my Spanish is not my best. It's not my best, but so thanks for the words. It's a pleasure to talking with you in IQA Volleyball TV, and hope to have a good conversation here.
Thank you for being here. For us, it's an honor to have you here. Obviously, you said your English, your Spanish wasn't that good. I don't have any Portuguese, so it's better than my Portuguese.
Yeah. That's good. So that's okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it in English. So for all those people that are watching this interview, we're gonna try to put captions out here. So if you don't understand English and you speak Spanish, then you can understand this conversation too. So for us, it's great to have you here. Obviously, you have a great career, not only as a volleyball player, but as a well-renowned winner. That's a word that I think describes your career. But we want to know some things about not only volleyball inside the court, but also we want to know a little bit about your history, about your story. How do you started playing volleyball and everything? And then speak a little bit about what's outside the court. So let's start to know who's Bruno. So where do you come from? Where do you started playing volleyball? And speak a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, so I'm Bruno, and I'm from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and I came from a family that have the volleyball. It's in our blood. My mother went to 3 Olympic Games, 80, 84, and 88. My father to other 2 Olympics as a player, and after that he stayed in the women's volleyball team of Brazilian team from, I think, from 93 until 2000, and with males other 16 years. So for me was I born inside the court, and the volleyball is on my blood for forever. I try to do a lot of sports here in Brazil, like volleyball. We say that is the first sport, but because football is religion, so I try to play football too, tennis, badminton, a lot of sports in my childhood, and was really good. I was always trying to have some sport, and for sure when I think I was 14 or 15 years old, my father told me, Bruno, I think it's the moment to decide which sport you want to do, or if you want to do some sport, if you want to study, because you are doing a lot of things, but it's time maybe to focus on one thing. And in that moment, I decided that I had to go.
You had to
what
go.
I have more passion. Yeah, I have to go for the volleyball, and I started more, concentrated and focused on volleyball with 15 years old. Wasn't so early. I played before volleyball, but in that moment I decided that I wanted to do what my parents did, and to have a career. For sure, I never expected to reach what I reached in my career, but I just played for passion because I love it from the first day that I saw volleyball, and the emotions that my father and my mother had in all their careers, that I been with them, I started to grow inside of me, and that's what I decided when I decided to try to have the same career of them.
Nice. So you spoke a little bit about other sports that you also practice. So
Yes.
were you good at those other sports? And if you were not a volleyball player, which other sport would you have played?
I think I have a like good ability for the sports, for the ball sports, like football, basketball, even badminton. I played a lot of years. I played the Pan American Championship of my age in that moment, and uh, I I
So
can
you
say
were
that
you
I
weren't
have.
you weren't practicing only the sports. You were also competing at a high level on
Yes,
other
yes,
sports.
yes, yes. I also competed in that moment of in badminton, even in football. So uh, I was good in other sports, but for sure not. I didn't have the talent, the same talent, maybe for like for the volleyball. And the most important thing was the passion, the love for the volleyball, and
Mhm.
that why when I'm decided to to go and go straight just with one plan in my life. You asked me if you weren't a volleyball player. I didn't have another plan. When I started, to play, that was my goal and my only objective. Maybe wasn't so responsible of my, for my head,
Decisions.
because maybe I could, yeah, yeah, because maybe I could have some problem, physical problem or something like that, and I didn't prepare nothing before that. But that was my dream, all, and I just want to follow this passion and this love that I have for volleyball.
Mhm. Were you good? Were you good at school? Were you good at classes and going to classes? Because I
I
spoke
was, I was,
to a couple of
yeah.
other players and they say they weren't that good.
No, no, I was okay. My father was so, uh, strict.
Hmm.
He was so hard with me, even to go well in the school in the classes. So I was good. I wasn't the best one, but I was good. And I started to make university after I entered in the national team. I had to stop, but I was good. But for sure, I wasn't expecting, to maybe go to university and after that take a work, and go to the office.
Hmm.
Wasn't my plan. This, I was I was just thinking about be a sport player, and to go to the court.
Nice. Um, I think that this is the first question that usually comes to our mind when you're talking to a player that comes from a family of volleyball players, but not only
Mhm.
volleyball players, but also Olympic volleyball players. So,
Mhm.
did you feel pressure growing up because you were the son of two Olympic athletes?
Yeah, in the beginning, I can say to you that no, because when you were a child, you just try to have fun, and do what you want to do. So with 15, 16, and maybe 17 years old, I wasn't worried about who was my father, who was my mother, what they did before. I just wanna have fun with my friends there and play more than I can. So I think this, so genuine emotion that a child have was so important to me to does not feel this pressure in the beginning. But for sure, when you started to grow and to improve and to be, more near to be a professional player, they starts to have like this type of relationship, and then you have to, this comparison with your father, with your mother, and then started a little bit more of pressure. But for sure, in the beginning, when I entered in the national team after I won my first league, was when I started to understand the pressure I have to, to manage in all my career,
Yes.
having a father of a coach of the national team, and that was the beginning. But in my childhood, with 15, 16, 17, I was just there having fun, and nothing worried me about that.
Speaking a little bit about that time frame around your teenager years, um, do you had any role models that were like? Do you had any athletes that you were looking at and you said, you
Yes.
know, I want to be like them? Who were they?
Yes, for sure. When I started to, when I say to you, with 15 years old, and I put like the volleyball, my goal, the Brazilian national team was in that beginning of the first golden years, and I think that generation was so important for my generation that came after, because they were our role models. It's difficult just to say one guy from that team. We started watching Mauricio and Ricardo as a setters, so I have maybe the best role models in Brazil. So for
Hmm.
me, looking them, watching them was impressive and incredible. And but all that team, Gustavo, Sergio, Giba, all that guys that create something new in the volleyball in that moment. That generation was so inspiring for our country, and for sure for my generation. So that guys, they were my model, my role models.
What did you saw from them? Not only like regarding to volleyball, but also regarding to their how they express, how they spoke to other people. Like what were the things that you were also seeing from all those players that you had as role models that
Yeah, yeah,
inspired you?
for sure. In the first moment, when I had my first call to go to the national team in 2006, was my first moment in the national team after winning for the first time the Brazilian championship. In the first day, they just kept me that dedication, and how they do all of their the training, the practice, with all their passion, and even being Olympic champion, world champion, world league champion, and they were hungry, and that philosophy, that mentality, just entering on myself in that moment. So I just was thinking, uh, if they got these guys, after winning everything, they are doing this. I cannot do less than 110%. So they were like more than speaking, but they were examples, in what they were doing in that moment. So they were so inspiring, not just with the words, but with their habits every day. So that was so inspiring for me, and I think that legacy that they create, um, we are trying to continue, with this legacy of this philosophy of dedication, sacrifices, and work ethic. And I think the Brazilian team is in these last, I think, 20 years, um, shows that, with this passion, and with this spirit, team spirit, that maybe is one of the most important things in our sport.
Right. Um, so in English, there's a saying. It says like starstruck. That's when you face like when you see a star in front of you, and you're like, "Hey, here I am playing against this guy that I was usually watching on the TV." Did that ever
Mhm.
happen to you? And who was that player that you were playing against or with that you said, "Hey, I'm right here next to that guy that I was watching on the TV"?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think my first moment was in 2004. Yes, was my first league as a professional. I was the third setter of the team, but sometimes I entered just to serve and to make a defense. Yeah, in the back, to
Back row?
defense, and yeah, in the back row. And then we played the semifinal against the team that have Giovanni, Ricardo, Andrea Nascimento, all that guys. And I remember was that the coach Weber, now he's in the U.S. national uh, team,
The national
and
team.
yeah, he put me and Bruno try to do this serve and go to defense in five. You know, Giovanni do this, this shot, and then I was so nervous because it's one of my first times, entering in a game, so important game. And
How
I
old were
remember
you?
I was 17 in that moment. So playing against that, Olympic champions and world champions, and I remember to do like a easy serve, and then they received perfect, and then they made. A, a, I don't know which one was of that movements, and they just Giovanni just put the ball in the 2 meters, and I wouldn't have any chance to defend that ball. And in that moment, I, was like, so now I started, and I
Welcome
was
to
like,
the pro.
welcome,
Welcome to the pros.
yeah, welcome to the pro, and bienvenido as was my first moment that I now I have to take a time and improve these moments, and take that moment for something that will come. So was
You were
so
serving, and all the other
important
team
for
was
me.
yelling "free ball."
Yeah, yeah. In that moment was like free ball, easy ball. So they just put one incredible movement and Giovanni spike in the 3 meters. So yes, for a good welcome for a teenager.
um, so obviously, throughout your years, and you had to face good moments and bad moments too. Um, did you when you were young, when you were a teenager, starting 17, maybe up till 19? Did you ever consider retiring from the game or like stepping out of the game because some things were not going as you were thinking?
No, not in that moment. I think I have I had lucky to have always behind me not just good athletes but good persons and good coaches that just gave me a lot of confidence, and they trust me in all these moments. Even when I started to be a starting six in a Brazilian pro team that was in 2005, Renan was my coach in that moment, and he told me, "You're gonna be the my setter, and for sure you're gonna have." A setter in the bench that will be more experienced to help you. And I have in that moment Fabiano that helped me a lot. And but Renan was so important in that moment to give me the right confidence, even when I wasn't playing good. But he was there, always practicing and trying to give me the best advice to come out from a difficult moment. And I think that's the most important thing for not just a player, but for sure for a setter, because we cannot just uh, go out from the match, because the ball is always passing through us. So if you are in a bad moment, you have to manage that moment, control your emotions to come back, because you are maybe the most important guy in that team. If a
Mhm.
setter will not play good, most probably your team gonna lose. And
Mhm.
if you play good, maybe it's not secure that you're gonna win. So it's not an easy, position, and you have to have this good mindset to come back in difficult moments. And but I was so lucky and fortunate to have these important persons with me, giving me this strength in these moments.
Um, Obviously, your story uh, starts with you as a kid starting to play volleyball, but then when you get into the national team and you start representing Brazil, you have the chance to be coached by your dad. And then I don't know if anyone has asked you this question, but did your relationship with your dad change when he started coaching you? Like, was it better? Was it worse? How did it
Yeah.
change?
I think maybe I made a lot of interviews outside of Brazil in the world, but the respect that I have outside of Brazil, and it's maybe much more than here. Maybe in the beginning of my career here, this type of relationship creates a lot of difficult moments for me because everyone was saying Bruno is there just because of his father, and even
Mhm.
if I was winning in my team, in my club, uh, people like to judge you, you know, and have this type of judgments without seeing what you are doing in your process, in your day by day, and that was tough for me, for sure. How I say before, the most important in who you have behind you, who you have in your side, and even when I started in the national team, they all that experienced guys, they give me a lot of strength, you know, and for sure our relationship changed in this in the beginning because I wasn't expecting to go to the national team so young, and when I started there, I saw how much my father was, you know, tough with me. Uh, I think because in the beginning he has to prove that I was there, but I wouldn't have any bonus to be there.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know if I can use because in Brazil in Portuguese we use onus. It's the I don't know
Like
bonus and you
benefits.
know, yeah, benefits and the other side, you know. So I think I
Mhm.
just have the other side, you know, the you know the tough side, you know,
Mhm.
not positive things but just the negative, and he was pressuring me a lot, and maybe in the beginning I didn't understand too much that because
Yeah, you were
it was
still a
tough for
teenager, right?
yeah with 19, 20 years
Mhm.
old, you just not expect to be so, you know, having this type of pressuring because I
And
was
then coming from your dad,
yeah
because
yeah and coming from my dad. So when I have like a free day or maybe a weekend without volleyball, you know, when I
you
could
didn't
go
want to see
home,
him.
I just want to, you know, to go to other side. So I think in the first 3 years was like that, you know, until I have more, you know, I started to mature myself and to understand that was maybe something to protect himself and protect myself too, you know.
Mhm.
So uh,
Yeah, because he was
was
making
tough.
sure that you were deserving of being there, because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
deserve
yeah,
to be
yeah,
there.
yeah. But for me, it was like to kill a lion every day, you know, just
Mhm.
to prove that I deserved that spot, you know. And even being the third setter after the problems with Ricardo, the second setter, and but was important to mature maybe before that every player can, you know, have this type of experience, you know, and these obstacles make me, you know, I think stronger to every other step that I had to do in my life. And when I start to play more in 2009, that changed the generation. Our relationship was a little better, and then 2013 I was the captain of the team, and then I think we create a better, you know, a better place for us, you know. But wasn't
Mhm.
easy because after Brazilian team started to win, we were like, you know, in the big spot. You know, everybody
Yeah,
was
the
expecting
pressure's
about
on.
us. The media is on. Fans are, you know, following us. So it's it wasn't easy for both of us. But some obstacles that came in your life to make you stronger and to make you more experienced.
Mhm. Well, speaking a little bit about, this is the good side. Probably if we start talking about all your medals and everything, we might not finish this interview. But uh, talking a little bit about the downside, what was your biggest failure as a young athlete?
Ah, I think it's just about if you see from a positive, you know, side. For sure, I won every tournament in all my careers. I won everything, but the losses are maybe more remarkable in my life. I have more moments of down that people can expect, because we just have to try to manage these moments, but it's not easy when you are young. And for sure, my first big loss was in London in 2012. You maybe can remember that final that we were
Nice.
2 sets up against Russia, and we lost 2 gold medal points. And in that moment, for me, was like after that, I entered in the moment of totally burnout. I was just hating to go to a court and to play volleyball, and I started to try to understand what was happening with me in that moment. And I was like putting all my was almost all
Frustration.
in yeah in that Olympics in London. I was feeling so good, physically, technically, tactically, but I wasn't like uh, prepared emotion for that moment. And after our loss, I could see the dark side of a volleyball career, and what we had to manage with our emotions. And I started to understand that for doing another step and to improve in one side that in that moment wasn't too much talkable. We weren't talking about mental health in that moment in
Mhm.
2012. Now we are talking a lot about this, but in that moment, nobody was talking about that. But in my point of view, in that moment, I need to be more prepared. I need to be stronger mental, mm, to try to have another opportunity to win a gold medal in Rio 2016 with the
Mhm.
most pressure, because playing at home it's even more pressure. So
Mhm.
I prepare after that dark moment, after London, starting to have like one mental coach,
Mhm.
and to doing a lot of yoga and meditation. And I started in that moment with these tools to have more conscience about my emotions and to start to understand more. And uh, and that was, I think, my game changer, in my
Mhm.
career. Sometimes some losses are so important to make us like making a reflection, and what can I do better, and for sure in that moment the mental side was the most important thing to me. And I could have this game changer in that moment. And after that Olympic cycle, that 4 years after London, was for sure my best moment in my career.
Mhm. Um, we usually we like to talk about mental health because people usually think about athletes are their they're the idols. They don't suffer. They don't go through frustration. And one of the main goals of this is humanizing all the idols, because obviously, as you said, people might go to a volleyball court and start yelling at you, good things or bad things, and then they feel like you have to just be okay with that, and it doesn't mean that you're okay with that, and it could affect your mental health. And as you're saying, you face frustration after that big
For sure.
loss, and you had to deal with your mental health. And probably you have seen other teammates that have also had to deal with
Yeah.
mental health. And is mental health still a taboo in sports, or do you feel like people are more open now to speak a little bit more about mental health and go to therapy and then finding someone who helps in that part?
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I I think we are more open, for sure. We are looking and watching a lot of big stars, big idols like Simone Biles, like Michael Phelps, and a lot of other guys that they had these frustrations, and they started to go and to asking for help, and our brain and our emotions, we can teach them, we can our brain is the same thing that we go to the gym and to do like a biceps or something like that, or a chest, you know. We just have to work on that, you know. And people maybe years ago was like a taboo, like you said, and was like a weakness. If you are, you know, getting some problems, or it's you are weak. It's not about weak. And I think for a player or for a sportsman, and to talk about this and to be vulnerable in some moments, because for sure I'm having frustrations all my career, like lost the bronze medal in Tokyo, and it's like our life is to go up and to go down. We just have to understand that that's sport. And if you doesn't have this help, you know, in this mental part, for sure you're gonna struggling more. So I try always, you know, to talk with my teammates, and I made a book in Italy talking a lot about mental health, how helped me, and the tools that we had and we can do to, you know, to not to doesn't feel that emotions again, but how to manage that, you know. So that's the important thing. For sure, I'm gonna enter in the final in I don't know, world championship final, and I will be like a little bit of fear or something like that. It's normal, but how you manage in this moment is different that 10 years ago. So um, I'm trying to talk a lot about this because we need to look more in this part, and not just guys in the sport, but in every type of work that you have, you know, because after this pandemic, you know, coronavirus, how many people get depressed,
Mm-hmm.
and if you are not having these tools to, you know, to manage better your emotions, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something that for me it's very interesting. It's speaking about how the pandemic affected athletes. Because most people say, well, he's a well-renowned athlete. He's okay. He has money. He doesn't need anything else. How do you felt it affected you to be out of the court for so long?
Oh, we lost you lost your identity, because I do not I never make another thing with just play volleyball. So if I couldn't do that, you know, it's something that someone took about for you, you know, and it's not easy. And but because I have this help with my mental coach, with therapy, I understood that that moment I could put in like in a positive way, how to prepare myself, you know, even individually. I was like doing sessions of cardio, and doing sessions at my home alone with a physical trainer, just by like we are doing this interview, you know. And it
Video
was good.
conference.
Yeah, video conference, and two times a day, and I was just preparing myself, you know, to do this, and to when we had the possibility to come back to the court, I will be, you know, ready for that. And for sure, 1 year without fans and playing on Olympic Games without fans
Hmm.
wasn't a good feeling. But we were, you know, that's something that we should pass, you know, and wasn't easy, because was tough 1 year and a half that we passed. But the most important thing that is in the past, and now we have to move on.
Um, Speaking a little bit about your professional career, you started playing professionally at 18, 19, around
Yeah,
that
in
age?
2003 I was 17.
17. Okay.
Yeah.
So, was there at some time during your youth, maybe teenager years, that something happened that made you say, "Hey, I want to do this professionally"? Because it's not the same thing. Like for example, in my case, I didn't play professionally, but
Hmm.
I remember that in my high school there was a tournament, a world high school tournament of volleyball that took place in 2003 in Puerto Rico, and then uh, high schools from all around the world were playing in my high school. Like they were playing it. I could go to recess like at noon, and then I will see South Africa playing against Canada or something.
Hmm.
And I remember that experience had me like, hey, you can do this, because I was already playing volleyball, but then
Hmm.
I decided to like push myself into trying to deal with all the other stuff, but then focusing a little bit more on the sport. Did you had any experience that was like, hey, I want to do this like forever, like I want to do this as a profession? Do you had any type of experience like
I
that?
I think because I had my father like a coach in the national team. I was in the national team, but I was playing
Mhm.
volleyball, and go to watch a training, a practice of them, sometimes a game, you know, and see how many fans were following them, and how the Brazilian people like cares of the sports about volleyball. In that moment, I for sure was my these experiences made me like no, I want to be a volleyball professional player for
Mhm.
sure. I want maybe have a possibility to one day playing in front of this type of atmosphere with 20,000 people, in Belo Horizonte or in Rio, and I think these experiences make me like have this fire inside me, and say me like, yes, I want to be a volley pro player, and I want to do every type of sacrifice to maybe one day have this possibility to play for my country.
Nice. What do you think makes, well, not only Brazilian volleyball, but all those sports in Brazil are so unique. Like they speak about football like having magic and jogo bonito, and then what do you think makes Brazilian volleyball so unique?
I think it's a mix of things. I think we are a culture that we are a mixed people. We have the African people, we have European people, we have Indian people. So we are so mixed. And I think that's make us maybe so creative people. Not just in sports, but everything, but in the sports for sure. And I think people love sports because we don't have too many things in Brazil just to have proud,
Mhm.
and people really love to watch sports and to maybe be an athlete, not just football, but volleyball and basketball and other sports. And I think this mix of cultures, people make us so creative in every kind of sport, and the most important thing that people loves, sport in Brazil. For sure, they are so, how can I say, a second place for them is it's not a good spot. We have this pressure, but
In Puerto Rico,
in the
we
same
say
time,
if you get a second place, you were the first one to lose.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like this here, and even when we had like 2 decades of a lot of good results, but when you lose, people, go in the street and, hey, the next one we want to win, we're gonna win, we have to win. So, but in the same time, when you win, you feel that proud of them. So, yes, I think that's it. That's mix of creativity because we have all people here, just not just European, European,
Hmm.
Africans, Indian, and these mix make us, I think, so creative.
Nice. Um, I think a very important question in this interview is what helped you on your early stages to develop your volleyball IQ? Because obviously we want to know about how do you invest time in developing that IQ.
Yeah, I think that's one of the another thing that with my father and my mother helped me because I remember my father as a coach when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I was beside of him, and we were watching videos about the next team that he gonna place. So for me to watch videos of volleyball, to see my father doing some strategies or tactics, uh, it's like, I don't know, when you are studying math class, so was like my life. So I think this IQ for me was from the beginning of my career, and I love to do this. I love to watch films. I love to watch other players, other setters, to watching them their steps. What can I improve watching this guy playing? So I like it to do this. I don't know if Weber was my first professional coach, and he never liked it to do more than 15 minutes of a video, because he told me once that players doesn't like video. I know that you like video. I know that you like to watch and to create your strategy and your tactics, but most of them, it's about 15 minutes. They just can stay focused in 15 minutes. So uh, I think I'm a little bit different because I love to watch, I love to see, and to try to implement these, maybe some move or something in my game, to be better.
What what is who is a player that you feel that challenged you while you're playing? Like if you play against this player, you know that that's gonna be a good game, and then that you're gonna be challenged. Because obviously, I know everyone loves a win, but it's not the same amount of celebration that you have when you have an easy win that when you have a hard fought win. So, is there a player that you feel like you're playing against and you know that's going to be a great game?
For sure. When we are like setters, we are always challenging more the middle blockers because they are trying to create their tactics against you, against our team.
Hmm.
So it's more to play against them. They will always try to. And for sure, in my career, I played with against a lot of really good blockers that have a really great, reading about my game. So were always like tough, because I was thinking he knows me what I do in this moment, so I can change, but he knows that I will change. So it's like a chess move, it's not
Yes.
easy. And I think for sure when I play against Gustavo in the first years against him, he was, I think, the best one. I remember my first practice in the national team. He was, I think, injured before, and then he was like 30 days without touching the ball and doing um, tactical practice. And in the first day, it seems to me that he knew before me when I will set, So I was like, no, this is impossible. This guy is inside of my mind. It's impossible. And
He had
after
your
that,
game
you
plan.
start
He
to,
had your game
yeah,
plan.
he had everything. He knows my hand and everything, every movement that I did, he made before. So I was, no, that's impressive. So Gustavo for sure. And after that, we played some important matches in Brazil, like semifinals of Brazilian Championship, and I started to play better against him. David Lee was a really great middle blocker with a really great reading. Uh, he wasn't so strong and big. He was like, I think 2 meters and two. I don't know, but he was so good too. And I think we made great matches against each other. And he was so good. Podraskanin, the Serbian middle blocker,
Hmm.
he's playing in this high level for a long time because he's so intelligent, he's so smart. Uh, I think I can put these guys, the maybe the toughest guys that I ever played. They had this reading that is so difficult to play against, and you have just to play chess against them.
Hmm. And obviously, and when you win against them, it's a well hard fought win, and you celebrate with more passion. And I probably know what's the most important game you have played, but I want you to tell it. Um, What's the most important game that you have played, and why was it the gold medal game in Rio 2016?
Yeah, I can say to you, yes, that game, but I think have one game that for me is more important. Maybe two games. I think in that Olympics against France in the first phase, that match was maybe the most nervous match I ever played because if we win, we go to the quarterfinals. If we lose, we were out from the Olympic Games in Rio and
Disappointment.
before the quarterfinals. So the pressure in that game was so high in our team, and manage that emotions and thinking about the consequences of that match wasn't easy. Weren't easy, and I think we made a really focused match and was so difficult to play that match, but so grateful to win against one of the best teams in the world in that moment because France had an incredible team in that moment,
Mhm.
and for sure in Rio that moment playing that final, it's something that even the maybe in the best dream of my life, I never had that. Play
Playing
a
Olympic
final,
games, you're
Olympic
the
Games,
captain,
gold medal. Yeah, being a captain in your hometown. In
hometown.
your hometown. So with my family, with my friends, everybody uh, in that attendance. So was an incredible moment for sure. The most special moment in my career and the best game ever for me.
Great. I know that there are people that are nationally, like naturally gifted. They were born with that gift of being an athlete. And then there are others that are just like designed to win, and they have to fight for their wins. And you're probably the best example in our sport about what a winner is. You have won everything. World Championship, Olympic Games, and everything. Pan American Games. What do you think influences in your playing that makes you have an edge and get those important wins? What do you think it's the key for you to be as good as a winner as you are?
I think it's my passion for what I do. Um, if not, I wouldn't be here now, trying again after a failure of Tokyo and after winning. After it's like to just about a lot of passion about work ethic because I know and I can and I'm sure that nobody will train and practice more than me. Maybe the same, but not more than me.
Hmm.
And in all these years of career, and I think this type of dedication of sacrifice, this work ethic, makes me like someone that is gonna be hard to beat. For sure, I'm gonna lose. But
It's part of the game.
uh, yeah, it's part of the game, and I think I'm not the most talented setter or player, but I have this type of IQ, volleyball because I I born inside of volleyball, so
Hmm.
uh, that is one of the good things in my game. And but for sure, I know De Checo and maybe Tonio T, Maruf. These guys are most talent like with the ball in the hand, but I know my strength, and I think that is the most important thing. And I understood in my career that we have to be humble, like being a setter, because it's not about you; it's about your team and how to make your team win. It's not about make someone without block if that guy in that moment are in his best moment, and his efficiency is not in a good day. So you have to understand every player, every single moment. You have to have this uh, emotional intelligence. You have to develop this in your game. In your mindset to understand who you have in your side and how to motivate these guys and how you know to be a leader for them. And I think these things were so important that I understood in my career, and I'm always trying to improve, to have more, how can I say, more tools, to
Mhm.
play this game, because I know that I'm getting older. I'm 37 now, and being a player since 17, a pro player, like 20 years of career, uh, everybody knows my movements, and it's to create and try to reinvent yourself,
Mhm.
recreate something and to improve always. And that's it's something that I really like to uh, every day, to try to improve a little bit, and have this consistency. It's one of the things that make me proud about my career.
We're speaking a little bit about tools that good setters need to have. What do you think makes a good setter? Is it the IQ? Is it the decision making? Is it the leadership? Is it a skill set? What do you think makes a good setter?
I think it's maybe everything. You have to be a good setter. You have to try to put this puzzle, because everyone have maybe more in one, in one way, more skill sets. Other guys uh, can make better a strategy, making decisions in difficult moments. This is like it's normal that everyone have these these characteristics and your own characteristics. It's difficult to say. If I can give an advice for a young setter that is starting, is uh, do everything most that you can. For the skill sets, you have to practice a lot in the in the court, like doing a lot of footwork, because almost nobody thinks about the footwork, but it's so important to to how you arrive in the ball, and then you have every possibility to set, and the footwork is so
Mhm.
important. And after that, to um, try to watch yourself to understand what you can do better, and have this type of self uh, manage, in your game, and watch other setters, because uh, I think you can take things that are important in your game. And now these modern guys, they are becoming always stronger in the serve, in the block. They are, higher, like Janelli, like Christensen. They
Mhm.
are all around players. This is the modern setter, and it's becoming tougher for us, for me, for the Checo, for Tonio T, for Maruf, because we don't have this. This. We are not tall like them. We cannot block like them, so we have to improve in other moments, in other type of characteristic of the
Mhm.
game. So
It's great
that's
that you
it.
don't have to pass because if Wilfredo Leon is serving and then you have to pass, that's
Yeah,
difficult, right?
would be tougher. Yeah. So that's good. But sometimes I have to block him, and it's not
It
easy.
doesn't feel good either. Well, I have two more questions, and the first one would be: do you feel satisfied with your career? Is there something that you haven't done yet that you want to?
No, I'm yes, not just about uh, titles or medals, but what I create in my even in my personal life. A lot of amazing relationship with a lot of teammates, good friends, and I think to have the respect, not because of a good player, but as a human being, and uh, I never like it to be like someone that people thinks that I'm perfect or something. I know my vulnerabilities. I know my problems, and I never try to hide these. And that's what makes me like proud of what I did in my career, and the relationships that I create, and how many amazing coaches that I had that give it to me uh, almost everything that I know today.
Right. Um, have you think about coaching about retire after retiring?
I don't think so. No. After retiring, I need some years just to, to be quiet, to be like relaxed, because I'm so intense. When I'm in a club or in the national team, I know how much I spend energy there, for my teammates, for my team, for myself, in the court, like doing a lot of work. So when I want to retire, will be something to relax for some years, and then after that, for sure, I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do for sure. Something in the sport, something in volleyball, because that's what I love to do. But I don't know if I'll be a coach.
What would you think? What would you say to kids, just to end this? What would you say to kids and teenagers that have you as their role model?
Oh, first of all, just um, keep your dream alive, and if you really want to do this, doing with a lot of passion, with a lot of love every day, and try to be the best version of yourself every day. I think to be positive, to be someone that never quit, and even if you don't have a career like a superstar, but I'm sure that in the end of everything, you're gonna be like proud of what you did every day, if you did everything with the most passion and love for the game.
Right. Well, um, I mean, it's been a great conversation just to speak to you about everything, just getting to know you outside the court.
Hmm.
Not only about your career, but also knowing the good things, the bad things that sports have brought to your life. And for us, it's been a great pleasure to have you here. And hopefully, we can meet each other in person soon. I know that you're traveling to Italy, right? Again,
Yeah, now we have the South American Championship here in Brazil in Recife, and then we have the
the Pan
Olympic
American Games
qualification in Rio, and then I go to Italy again for my last year in Modena.
in
Yeah, just
Modena.
yeah.
Nice. It's great. It's just great to have a living legend right here in Nike Volleyball TV. So, uh, obrigado. I mean, that's all I have
Yeah, that's good.
in Portuguese.
No, no, for me it was a pleasure to have this conversation to you. I hope you enjoy everybody. Muchas gracias, and espero venir a Puerto Rico soon.
That's better than my obrigado. All right. Well, thank you, Bruno, for being here with us. It was a nice pleasure. And for everyone that's been connected right here, please go to IQ Volleyball TV, subscribe to our channel right here in YouTube. Also, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You've seen Bruno, you've seen the Checo, you'll probably see some other stars that are coming also to our channel. So please don't lose the chance to get to know these athletes outside the court. So subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Sabe.